Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
Hey, welcome aboard. Glad to have you on this Friday. How'd your week go? How is your weekend looking? What have you got planned? You going to, say, a football game, high school game on Friday, college game on Saturday? Plenty of that going around. Sign a new contract here or there. You could become the next, the third highest paid football coach in America. But you would have to pass Cignetti, as Indiana has signed their coach to a new 8-year deal that will keep him in Bloomington over the next 8 seasons. Pretty much the same length as his existing one, just an extension that takes his payment up just a wee tad up to what, 11.3 million now. So all the thoughts and questions that have come up, man, you have to love how Scott Dolson let that take zero time to percolate. Part of that is because didn't want it to affect what's going on with this incredible season. And I started to wonder that with all the time that is left, it was 6 games alone in the regular season, man, that's going to start to seep into things, recruiting and whatnot. Nope. Put that to bed right now. I noticed that Michigan State having some recruiting issues, woes. So Indiana, last year when Kurt Cignetti said, we are the rising power, superpower in college football, he meant it. He's meant everything that he said. You can take it to the bank. Google it. It looks to be true. I hope you're doing well this Friday. Jim Coyle, and looking forward to another fun day. Alec Lasley will join us, in addition to Zach Osterman and Jeffrey the Greek. We'll go through some picks, some games. You know, I because of the travel last week, I let myself forget again the stupid picks for our college pick'ems. Although now there's like a 5-person race there, man. You guys have tightened it up. So don't forget to make your picks like I did. Big old dummy. But wouldn't mind pulling that up, as a matter of fact. I was surprised because it had been a wider gap, but I noticed, I'm like, hey, that's closing. That there's like 5 guys right within striking distance of each other. Now, I don't know, of course, every time I want it to come up, it doesn't. Oh, there we go. I'm always looking in the wrong spot. But college, yeah, it's always the same thing every time. And they move them. There we go. It's like they move them. But jump over here to the group. Sorry, you got to bear with me. Great radio. But looking in there, we've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys, 6 people within a game, it looks like. Man, that's pretty good. Bill O, Brian S, Daryl T, Tom G, Daniel H, and Andrew J, Dr. J. So all right there within striking distance, but there's more that are right outside of that. I, unfortunately, am not one of those. Man, I can't believe I've forgotten to do that twice, but some fun games to watch this weekend. I'll tell you, I am looking forward to being able to try to, well, I'll record as much as always, and I go back and watch a lot. As even Indiana's games, I try to rewatch those as quickly as possible, because trying to do take all of that in and then run out and do the press post game presser and jump on a post game show. It's you can't really absorb everything. It's just too much information overload for this peon brain, I guess you'd say. But yeah, it's a lot easier when you can go back, you can rewatch and remember certain things, and you remember that you were wondering if you had a question at the time, and then maybe you understand it much better, or your question goes a little bit deeper. Well, you never know. But yeah, the biggest thing going on for Indiana fans right now, and we'll talk to Alec about this some, but Indiana putting all speculation aside, and I did notice that Paul Feinbaum said that this was a bad idea for Indiana, just a bad idea. I'll talk about that in a second, but yeah, Indiana reached a new 8-year deal with Curt Cignetti, which makes him, I think, the third highest paid coach in the country, around $11.6 million. Of course, right now he has only lost 2 games since his tenure began at the beginning of last season. Currently, Indiana ranked number 3, taking on Michigan State this weekend in a homecoming weekend. Big weekend for Indiana athletics. You've got an exhibition basketball game today, and then, of course, you've got homecoming going on and the football game. So all kinds of stuff that's happening in and around Bloomington today. And none bigger than, I guess, fans celebrating the fact that Curt Cignetti's not going anywhere. Now, if they could lock down those coordinators for a while, that would really be something. They've been with each other for over a decade, and that is huge. I mean, think about how big that is for him, not for Curt Cignetti, not just the comfort, but the ability to just completely relax and leave things up to people, not just his DC OC, but special teams coordinator as well. Has been with him for over a half a decade. So that kind of continuity you don't find in football. And how much longer can you hope to keep it together? I don't know, because whenever you're good, everybody wants some of it. And I promise you, there's a whole lot of people wanting a lot of what's going on in Indiana right now. Man, it is just phenomenal. And hopefully it will continue, because let me tell you, it is a lot of fun covering a winter. A lot of fun. Feinbaum is an idiot, says Greg LaRock. I cannot say that I disagree, but I think he also likes to yes, we are going to have a pick'em for college basketball, Daniel. Feinbaum likes to say stuff that just gets attention, man. The more attention he gets, the better off it is for him. He can't, there's not a lot he can say to get attention in the SEC right now, because they don't have the best team in the country in football. So they don't have the number 1 team in basketball. So what's he got to talk about? He's got to make stuff up to talk about. So now he's got to go outside of the SEC and talk about Kurt Cignetti and how it's a bad idea for Indiana, which is funny. But yeah, it's a bad idea for Indiana. How maybe you've said it's a bad idea for college football, but why? It's only a bad idea for Indiana because Indiana got him, and it wasn't an SEC school that signed him, which I find it hilarious. But what else was he going to say that's going to draw attention to what he's talking about? What else is he going to say other than what he did, which is to say it's a dumb idea? Well, if he agreed and said, well, that was smart of Indiana, he's going to be like everybody else in his mind. But just taking an opposition view is not the smartest thing to me, because surely, hopefully, I guess not, some people see through that. I mean, I give more people the benefit of the doubt than not. Maybe I'm wrong, but surely they know that he is just saying this for whatever, to get their attention, just to get attention. I mean, there's not another reason I can think of, because it's ridiculous. I mean, it is simply ridiculous. Am I right? Or am I right? Or am I right? Or am I right? What was that character on Saturday Night Live? Hey, looking forward to Alec Lasley joining us here. We're going to talk about football and basketball, as both going on this weekend. Pat Knight will come in with Marrion, of course, to play a basketball exhibition this evening. And the Indiana football team, the number 3 Indiana football team, welcomes the Michigan State Spartans for a homecoming matchup. Things aren't going that well for Michigan State right now. I saw they lost a major recruit. That and much more here at Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday, back with plenty more after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, on this Friday of game week. I'm calling it week 8. Am I correct in college football? We've got the bye week. We've had 6 games played. So is my math correct? Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com joining me.
Yeah, it is. Numbers are always a little bit difficult on a Friday morning, but believe it is week 8 as we get here into homecoming weekend. So should be a fun weekend all around for Indiana.
Yeah, well, now that we've made it into the afternoon, glad that can get that math straightened out. But lots going on this weekend all over the place, whether you're looking at Indiana, who has homecoming in addition to football and basketball games going on. Of course, the basketball side, it is just an exhibition, but everybody else jumping back on with football and plenty going on there. But big news coming out of Bloomington yesterday, of course, with the announcement that Curt Cignetti had been signed to yet another extension already, his second extension in just his short year, 1.5 year tenure. That's got to be another record that's being set there alone. But to put to bed any thoughts that he's going to be leaving and heading anywhere, which I think it was a smart move. Boom, because I've seen some guys jumping off the ship at Michigan State, and there's not even been a change there right now. So the hard work that's been put in, not only the hard work that's been put in recruiting, but there's going to be recruits being lost to these other programs with these coaching changes.
No, absolutely. Firsthand at Penn State, all the decommitments, specifically, there's 5 or 6 that Indiana's involved with just from Penn State now. So, I mean, you're going to see it across the board, right? I mean, I think it was surprising that UCLA didn't have anyone enter the transfer portal in that 30-day window after Deshaun Foster was let go. So that was kind of the one outlier, but between firings and everything else, you're going to see movement. And so for Indiana to come out and obviously just go put to bed any sort of discussion, any sort of conversation, right? I mean, I don't think a lot of people really thought that the Curt Cignetti to Penn State had a lot of legs. It just didn't seem that he was going to make that move. But, right, people were still going to talk about it. Penn State was still going to call. Penn State was still going to try to do it, because why would you not? Right, there's not a hotter coach in college sports right now than Curt Cignetti, and what he's been able to do at Indiana in just a few games, right, completely shift not only the mindset last year to a winning culture, but then to be able to back it up in even a bigger way this year, when a lot of people probably didn't think you could do any better than an 11-2 record and a college football playoff appearance. And now 19 games in, 17-2 overall. Just one Big Ten loss, and you look at this team, and it is and some people probably think they are definitely in that same tier of 1 or 2 teams that have a true legitimate shot to go on and win the whole thing. And so it's crazy to see the momentum that has pretty much been consistent ever since he stepped on campus. And to be able to build everything. And he talked about this, and he's been, very vocal about being able to build on the successes that they've already had and make sure that it's not just kind of a 1 or 2 year type success, but whether it's on the recruiting trail, right? He went in from landing his JMU guys and bringing them over to starting to flip recruits to now getting 4 stars and 5 stars on campus and have a legitimate shot with landing 4 stars and 5 stars, right? So, you look at what he's done with just the roster that he's had over the course of the first year and a half. You got to assume that there's going to be even more talent that comes into this program over the next couple of years, if not already next year, just due to the success that he's had. And so, to come out right before homecoming, not that Indiana needed any sort of jolt of energy, but to come out right before homecoming, announce this, going into the weekend. And then more specifically, I think, which you don't typically see, is the video that Curt Cignetti put out, and and the quote that got everyone excited, right, was that he wants to retire a Hoosier. And I think that makes a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons. But what Indiana's been able to do from an investment standpoint, I think, really shows that they are 150% in to making sure that this football program is not going to go back to what it was 3 years ago, right, when it was 9-27 over the last 3 years of Tom Allen's tenure, and then pretty much got to the point of the laughingstock of the Big Ten. The fact that they lose to Rutgers at homecoming, they pretty much lost to every single Big Ten team, and now they again are 17-2 over the last 19 games. Are going to be in the college football playoff yet again, barring anything unforeseen, and will be a national championship contender. The switch that this athletic department has been able to really grab a hold of and build with Curt Cignetti is definitely tremendous, and something that you never really see in college sports.
Yeah, I recall that when Tom Allen was named head coach at Indiana some nearly a decade ago now, almost right at it, as a matter of fact, very, very close to that. I think that his first year salary was $1.8 million. And now we're looking at 11.6 for Curt Cignetti. So a great improvement in the salary there. But it shows you not only that, it shows you the investment Indiana has made. It shows you how they weren't taking it seriously, in my opinion, because they were far and away the lowest paying at the time. So now they're gone to the opposite. They're one of the top paying in the country, and that is it's part of what you have to do. But they got lucky with this hire. I mean, I don't know if I should say lucky. Scott Dolson made the hire, so he made a great hire. But getting this lockdown, man, you have just solidified your program as well as you can, save for the coordinators that have been with Cignetti all this time. But as far as the bedrock of the program, you pretty much solidified that. And now, like you said, these recruits that I already expected to see them to start to pull in is going to even increase. Indiana is the next superpower in college football. I mean, that comment that he made, it was a very flippant comment, but man, again, very prophetic. I mean, what else can you say for a team that does what nobody else has been able to do for the last 2 years? They go out to Oregon and they not only win, they win convincingly and could possibly be the number one team in the country. The only reason people are not voting them as such is because it says Indiana on their jersey, and Ohio State is the reigning national champion, and they don't know what else to do to knock them off from that perch, because to be honest with you, they haven't really beaten anybody of substance this year.
No, absolutely. Look, I mean, you can't argue with Indiana's success now. You can't argue with the the quote unquote scheduling aspect, right? To be, whether or not anyone believes that at this point, right, that Illinois is a top 10 team, top 15 team, even top 25 team, right? They were ranked number 9 for a reason at that point. Everyone had Illinois in their college football playoff heading into this year and making a deep run to beat them by 53 points, to then back that up with getting kind of that first monkey off their back, winning at Iowa. Obviously a very difficult place for Indiana always, and a very difficult place for anyone around the country. And then to back that up with going on the road, beating Oregon team with the longest winning home streak in the nation at that point, which Indiana now I think is second or third for longest winning home streak at 12 or 13 games, 12 games I think right now. Was monumental for not just what this program wanted to do, but I think more specifically, and Curt Cignetti's not going to ever say this, right? But I think for him, that was kind of that last straw that he needed to really even feel more empowered with this program, right? Because they hadn't won the big game yet. They hadn't really been able to travel to a ranked team and win on the road. Everyone was looking for that, next little tidbit to say, oh, well, Indiana's good, but right there's no but anymore. They've been able to face every single challenge and overcome that and build on obviously what they were able to do last year and get better. And not a lot of people thought they would be better. Not a lot of people thought they'd have any shot of advancing everything that they did a season ago. And it's incredible to see what they've done. And now you really look at a potential undefeated season. And I know, right, that every single game is the biggest game. And I think that's the best mentality that this program and this team has. But they have goals, right? Roman Hemby talked about it earlier this week. He and this team, they want to win a Big Ten title. They want to win a national championship, and they have all of that, at their fingertips right now, and everything is fully laid out for them to go ahead and do that. And they have a real shot of championship. And regardless of how the rest of the season plays out, I think just the fact that you see the built success, you see them being able to compound last year and build on it, and you now see the doubling down or tripling down in the investment of the program and the coaching staff, and which I'm sure you agree, Jim, that they're going to do everything in their power to increase that salary pool, if they haven't already, for the rest of his support staff to maintain those guys and keep them in Bloomington. And if they're able to do what they did last year and keep that staff, you're looking at a national power here for years to come, because I just don't think that Curt Cignetti is going to do anything to hop off that train that's going full steam ahead now for 19 games.
Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com with me right now. Jim Coyle as well. All paddles going in the same direction, I believe, is the phrase that I heard.
Oars
all
paddling in the same direction.
There you go. All oars are all paddling in the same direction. There you go. That's the phrase of the day right now. But yeah, I wonder if I were a coordinator. Not everybody wants to be a head coach. Not everybody wants that pressure. There have been some guys that have been a long time, well-known coordinators at places, and it's not always the case. And I don't think that that's going to be the case for Indiana's guys. But at some point, they're probably going to want to leave. But at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm getting paid pretty well. I'm working as one of the top guys on a national title contending program year in, year out. Do I really want to take that step down to get my brains beat in at a MAC school or whatever the case may be? So there's a lot that goes into all of this, the coaching situation.
No, absolutely. And right. I mean, Curt Cignetti's been, very vocal about, the salary, right, that these guys have been making for the last 10 years, right? When they started making, what was it, like $10,000, $8,000 with, Brian Haynes and Mike Shanahan, right? And the, decade that they've been with Cignetti now, right? It's been very much a relationship that both prosper off of. Curt Cignetti, gets as much out of Mike Shanahan and Brian Haynes as the other two get out of him as well, right? So it's a very mutual beneficial type of partnership that those three have. And not to say anything right about Tino Sinceri, but the one guy who left last year definitely was a step up from a quarterback's coach to an offensive coordinator. But you look at the situation that he went into, it's not always greener on the other side, and a lot of these guys, like you said, may not want to take that next jump. But then again, why would you, when your salary continues to get raised every single offseason and you guys continue to win? And there's not a situation in football, in my opinion, that is comfortable is not the right word here, because Kurt Cignetti and this coaching staff, they're never going to be comfortable, right? Complacency was the one, kind of big word that he used all of last year, not getting complacent and not being complacent. But there is a comfort level of knowing that you pretty much have the whole athletic department and the whole university in the whole state of Indiana in your hands with what they've been able to do so far in Bloomington. And so it's something that why would you leave that? Do just about anything and everything to maintain all this staff that he has, but specifically, right, the two rocks and Mike Shanahan and Brian Haynes up to this point.
Yeah, and especially if they were to be offered a higher profile position, well, that would change things the entire. Hey, Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com is with me. We've got to take a break. When we come back, talk some basketball as the Hoosiers hit the hardwood tonight at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. It is homecoming weekend, and it's kind of a homecoming as Pat Knight brings his Marrion Knights into Bloomington. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. How are you doing? Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com with us, and Indiana basketball getting underway of sorts tonight with an exhibition match against the Marrion Knights and Pat Knight. So a kind of a reunion all the way around. What a complete homecoming weekend this is.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's always great, right, when you get the extended Indiana basketball family, back in any sort of environment, whether it's a exhibition, whether it's a game, any sort of other visits. So it's a good way to kind of jumpstart the basketball season that's obviously been overshadowed by Indiana football, which we've talked about for multiple months now. We think is a great thing for this basketball team and this basketball program and where it's at right now. Not to have all the pressure and all the expectations on them and going into this season. So really this afternoon and tonight is just about getting out there, being able to get through without any additional injuries, being able to play against another team, something they haven't done here in about 2 months since their Puerto Rico trip. And mainly just putting together what they have been implementing over the last handful of months into a game. And Darren DeVries talked about it yesterday when we were able to talk to him. he's just looking to play hard, being able to see the consistencies and the ability to see what they've implemented into a game now. They're not going to have their normal rotation, normal lineups. Nick Dorn, Jason Drake, Alexa Ristich, and Josh Harris are not going to be playing tonight. So it's not a full roster by any means. And Darren DeVries talked that it's going to be a little bit difficult to actually put together a full kind of scheme and game plan when you're missing at least a couple of guys who will be in the rotation of some significance. And he mentioned that Jason Drake and Alexa Ristich specifically will miss some of the regular season. So it's going to be interesting to see what the lineups and the rotations look like tonight and against Baylor next week before they get things going. In a couple weeks here against Alabama A&M in that first game of the season, but it should be nonetheless a good another good test just to get these guys out on the floor and get another game under their belts because we'll see them flush up against Baylor, a team that's obviously going to be competing for a NCAA tournament berth and competing in the Big 12 here in just a week, and be able to really see kind of where this team stands heading into the season, because there's not many early kind of gimme games, right? You go at Marquette at the United Center, game 2 right away. So you go Baylor, Alabama A&M, and then Marquette. And then obviously the two big ones, right, with Louisville and Kentucky, and then you have Kansas State sandwiched in there as well. So just kind of get your feet underneath them, be able to go through some of the system that you have in place, but also for fans know that this is not a complete team by any means at this moment. So what you see tonight is not going to be, what this team does in 3 weeks from now. It's not going to be what this team does in 3 months from now. But it's another opportunity, right, to get out there and compete. And I think that's what most specifically this coaching staff is looking to do.
Yeah, it does a couple things, good and bad. It forces you to deal with adversity right now, not having all those guys, not having the depth. Alec Lasley with the Hoosier.com with us right now. Alec, and it also gives other guys opportunities for either more minutes or possible minutes in positions they normally wouldn't play. It stresses the team a little bit, and it makes them overcome that adversity like I was talking about. But it also, you're not getting the full understanding of what you're going to have at your disposal. And so it goes the opposite way as well.
No, absolutely. And that's why, again, typically, right, I would say with some of these injuries, I would agree with that. You'd have some other guys being able to showcase, get some early minutes, but,
Well, I wonder if we lost Alec. We'll see if we get him back here. He may have been swallowed up by Cujo, sounded like. But hopefully all things are good there, and he'll be right back with us. But, yeah, this is going to be a test of sorts for Indiana basketball in that manner, I think, and how they can play with a much shortened lineup. And this is not something that they should have any trouble with because of the difference in talent level. I mean, this is in the essence what, an NAIA school of sorts, so versus a D1. So it just will give fans an indication, of nothing else, of the style of play that you're going to expect to see from offensive and defensive standpoints, I believe. And the guys that I think that are going to be leading a lot of this, you're going to see Trent Sisley. What can he do off the bench? You're going to see Lamar Wilkerson. What's he going to do as a leader? You're going to see the guards in Tayton Connerway and Connor Enright as their bulldog mentality. So I think you're going to get, and then the guys in the middle, people were wondering, what's the middle going to be like for Indiana? Well, you're going to get an understanding of Sam Alexis and Reed Bailey and what they do in there and how they go about what they do. But more importantly, I think you're going to get an understanding of the speed at which is a part of Indiana's attack on both ends of the court. Speed on offense, man, you're going to have to be moving all of the time. Alec Lasley back with us now. I was just talking about Indiana is going to have to, they'll be tested in a lot of different ways tonight, not necessarily in talent level, because that should be not just, not a point with the what we're talking about here, but they're going to have less guys do more. But it also is going to be an opportunity for people to see what they're going to be seeing this year as far as what Indiana, the style of the play that they'll be exhibiting.
No, absolutely. It's, shoot threes, play with pace, play, positionless basketball, right? So you're going to see all of that. One thing I was saying before, kind of lost connection there, was, typically, right, in these types of environments, if you do have some injuries, you're going to have, like you said, some of those younger guys being able to showcase maybe a few extra things. They just don't have the depth right now to even do that. So that's why some of these lineups and rotations are going to be vastly different than what you're going to see moving forward. So that, take everything that you see tonight with a grain of salt, take everything you see against Baylor, and kind of, enjoy it. The basketball is back, but just understand that there's going to be a lot of differences in the next coming months here with what this team will look like. But yeah, it's, the team, made eight and a half threes, I think, over the course of their Puerto Rico trip. They made 12 threes in the scrimmage in 19 minutes a couple weeks ago. They were taking, I think it was 27 threes a game in Puerto Rico as well. So we know that they're going to take a lot of shots from the perimeter, and we know that they're going to try to move the ball passing wise as much as possible, take very limited dribbles, which is a vastly different aspect than what we've seen previously with this team, and then be able to push the pace and play with pace. And Darren DeVries talked about it yesterday, right? His confidence in having, whether it's Reed Bailey, 6'10" forward, be able to bring the ball up the floor and play a little bit of the offense out of his hands, I think is critical. Even having the confidence in a guy like Sam Alexis bringing the ball up. Obviously, that's not going to be something that's always going to be done, but they truly want anyone to grab the ball and go, and they have the confidence in everyone to do that. So it's going to be a very much a grab and go type offensive flow, and they want to score again in the first kind of 12 seconds.
Yeah, I think we lost Alec again there. He's having an issue today, but see, now you're back there, brother. I think you're all unfrozen again. So continue, you may please.
Yeah, no, just wrapping up there. I think it's, again, the versatility that they have with multiple guys. They don't always want, some of the same forwards and everything bringing the ball up, but it just showcases what they're going to be able to do with trying to score in the first 12 seconds and play with that pace that they want.
Yeah, and it's just going to give this team, at least the core, more time to gel. It's going to give Trent Sisley some substantial playing minutes because they're going to need him. So looking forward to that. What else is coming up at thehoosier.com this weekend?
Yeah, so obviously full coverage of the exhibition tonight. We'll have some visit preview stuff as well from Von Cravella, the top 50 wing that's going to be on campus this weekend for Indiana. A quick note on that, a recruitment that I would definitely follow from Indiana's perspective. Indiana, Xavier, Cal are the three there. It's come on very strong over the last week and a half, and a lot of that was due to and Ohio State. And
repeat that again. Due to what?
Yeah, I said it's not due to anything coming up with Anthony Thompson. Indiana still needs more bodies in this 2026 class. So Anthony Thompson has a decision on Tuesday. That's between Indiana and Ohio State at the moment.
What's that looking like? Any idea?
Yeah, I would probably at the moment, right? It's definitely going to be very close. I think Indiana has a little bit of the edge in that. But I think still a decision is yet to be made on either side there. So the
Is
next,
it coming down to money or anything else?
yeah, I mean, it's coming down to skill development, style of play. He's been very open about that. Ohio State, from what I've been told, has the bigger NIL deal in place, but Indiana's not far behind. It's not a significant upgrade. Indiana did even upgrade their NIL deal over the last couple of weeks to make it even more competitive. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to be skill development and kind of the positionless basketball style that Darren DeVries wants to play that I think will win out. But he'll be making that decision on Tuesday, and then.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Alec an AOL connection there, just one of them old style. Just kidding. Alec Lasley from the Hoosier.com. If he makes it back, I was going to let him give himself an out, but make sure you go to the Hoosier.com. They have tons of information there in regards to what is going on with the college basketball recruiting as it sits right now for Indiana, in addition to what is going on all around this weekend. Tons of happenings with the homecoming situation happening. You've got an exhibition game going on, basketball. It's really cool how they just kind of brought everything together, which there didn't used to be a lot. They used to have to do things like this to get people interested in football. How the times have changed. So now what is everybody going to do and their thoughts for Penn State and that job and whatnot? Who's going to be the name of the hour? I mean, what are they got to go to Matt Rule or Freeman from Notre Dame. Those have to be the two favorites. But why do they have to be favorites? Because Freeman may not have any interest at all in going to Penn State from Notre Dame, but I'm not going to say that he might not use it to get a little something for the effort on the backside, a little raise. So that's always a possibility. Does that end up happening? Does Penn State end up being just a job bumper? People were even Matt Rule uses it just to get a bump at Nebraska, or is he reading the tea leaves on the wall at Nebraska, and maybe it's time to get out of there for whatever reason they're not able to recruit the way he would like? I mean, who would not want to go to Penn State? Let's be honest. They are in the completion stages of a $700 million renovation to their football facilities. They're going to, when it's all said and done, probably pay out close to $100 million with the coaching change, and then an additional $100 million for a new coaching staff and all of that and all that goes with it. So, yeah, you'd want to go there, but with whom much is given, much is expected. So a lot of pressure would come with that. Or would you rather stay with? That's why people ask why guys stay at places like Iowa State, because you know what? You can be successful, you can win, and not have nearly the pressure to do so. And that money spends probably just as far as getting 3 times as much as it might someplace else. And it may not matter for the stress of it all. So there's something to be said for happy life, man. Happy life. So there's a reason why certain people just go and stay places. That's what I meant earlier about the coordinators. Some are happy. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case here. I'm sure it's not. They're both young men still. And that's probably wishful thinking by Indiana fans to think that. Now, how long can it last? I don't know. Maybe they want to get on a run for a couple of years and see what they can do. See if they can run it back again. Let's see if they can win a Big Ten championship or at least play for one. That would be a gigantic proportions, which I'm sure that's looking like that's going to happen. It's certainly a possibility of happening. And if that happens, what's next? Winning the Big Ten, winning a national title. I mean, there's something to be said for being in the hunt for those things for a while. I mean, they've been paying their dues, but now they've got a shot at all of this. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. You've seen some of the big names that other programs, Ohio State, and are able to get and keep. Hey, it happens, and so it's very doable, especially when you have a place that is welcoming this new product the way Indiana has been, the way they are investing in it. It's a good time to be around something when it's at its beginning and growth stages. They are having a blast, and it's working out pretty well. And Indiana stepped up at a time when the Big Ten has to step up. The Big Ten being one of the leaders. No, I did not. Thanks for reminding me of that. But yeah, the Big Ten has to be one of those leaders to do so. So we'll see about that. Hey, I've got about 45 seconds left, so I'll wait until the next start of the next segment. I was going to mention, I apologize, or I hate that what all has happened with Todd, and I don't know anything more than you guys do. So, but we hate it, and it is what it is, and I'm sure there's three sides to every story. So, hate it for everybody all involved, but we've got lots more coming up. And unfortunately, he won't be with us going forward. So, but stick around. We'll keep at it. More coming here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with more right after these messages.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. A visit from our friend Zach Osterman, the IU insider for the Indy Star, joins us. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
If I was any better, I would be Zach Osterman, and I know that there's only room in this world for one of those. But big doings for Indiana yesterday, of course, with the announcement of the new contract with Curt Cignetti, which quickly puts to bed to rest any worries for Indiana recruits, for Indiana fans, for Indiana donors. And I think that was a pretty solid, fast move by Indiana and Scott Dolson to do all that, to put all that in place.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I say this whenever we get into these jobs, and Indiana basketball fans have learned this as well. When jobs like Penn State come open, they don't tend to be filled by coaches that are already elite. They tend to be filled by coaches that kind of grow into those jobs and become elite in those jobs. And that was why, as much as anything, I never really thought Curt Cignetti was leaving. But I think, the financial investment, and I think we can all suspect that there have been further, guarantees around staffing, salary, NIL plus rev share. I talked to someone this week who said that, I don't remember exactly what they said, but they basically said that, the Oregon game probably changed some targets for next season on that front. That it is more just kind of the idea of what it signals when Indiana starts spending top dollar in football. And there is obviously a level of spending and revenue that Indiana can't realize if it doesn't have a 90,000 seat stadium the way that, that I don't know, Alabama does or Ohio State does. There will always be that. And we don't have to get into the debate about whether or not Indiana should add capacity to Memorial Stadium and blah, blah, blah. But when Indiana is investing at the level that we're talking about, in capital, in resources, in time, in energy. I mean, it sounds like a small thing, but it takes a lot of, I don't know if it sounds like a small thing. I think it sounds to a lot of people like sort of an abstract concept. It takes a lot of energy to be good at football, to correctly marshal all of the things that you need to put a good product on the field, not just players, coaches, but also the fan experience, making sure that your stadium's up to par. That is stuff, that is energy that people, time and hours of the week that people could be spending on something else. And Indiana has really chosen to just emphasize again and again, pushing that to football. And maybe that's money, maybe it's time, maybe it's effort. It's pithy to say Indiana's a football school, although I wrote it last night, so I guess I'm pithy. But Indiana is behaving like a school that is putting football first. That is not unfair to say. And you can obviously understand the justification for that. But that's where Indiana is now. And, I think there's a validation that I think is coming for Indiana this season, the Illinois game, the Oregon game, Curt Cignetti's new contract, that a lot of people are looking around and saying, this is just the way it is at IU for the foreseeable future. And of course, it won't be that way forever. Programs always rise and fall. But, this one is in, kind of a golden moment, and it is doing everything it can to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I thought of this earlier today and mentioned it, and we'll probably post it at some point. But the man that he replaced, Tom Allen, Curt Cignetti, Tom Allen's starting pay was, I believe, $1.8 million, and now Curt Cignetti is at $11.6 million thereabouts. Just the unbelievable difference. But a big part of that, though, is Indiana, how much more they've decided to put their resources in football, how much more it's shown to be important, how much it's shown that they have to do this because this is the business model you have to follow.
Yeah, and I wrote something that I was literally in the middle of filing yesterday. I was putting the subheads into my story file, and I was starting to build out some hyperlinks when the Cignetti contract news dropped, and I had to rewrite about 800 of the 2,000 words about just how, and I've been around for, virtually all of this, starting with Fred Glass, starting with the hire of Kevin Wilson, Indiana, and maybe even before that, this conceptualization of the North End Zone facility, which was part of the construction package that also included Cook Hall back in the mid-late 2000s. Indiana has been persistent about this. And I wrote it in that story, and I tell people this all the time. It's not unimportant. And Curt Cignetti deserves all the credit in the world. And so does Scott Dolson, so does Pam Whitten for, capitalizing on this moment that Indiana's in. But it should not be lost on people that, the impact that a lot of people and a lot of time and effort had in building the platform to give Curt Cignetti this opportunity. And what I mean by that is, Indiana, I got the number right over here. Indiana in the financial year 2010, which was, I guess, the third year of the Big Ten Network, maybe the second full year of I think it was the third full year of the Big Ten Network, reported $815,952 in head coaching salary. Like that. I mean, it was like they were paying less money than service academies. And this is not a criticism of Bill Lynch or anything. This is just what Indiana was willing to spend on football at the time. Fred Glass, when he made the decision to move from Bill Lynch to Kevin Wilson, he made a similar decision to say, we are going to keep pushing the boat out financially for football. And some of that was big. Some of that was, probably more than $100 million in renovations to Memorial Stadium, many, if not most of which were football facing. Some of that was small. Some of that was when, Kevin came to him and said, hey, I've got a practice field that in the lean months of the year where the sun's not out all day, there's a part of it that is just permanently in the shadow of Mellencamp Pavilion. And that means that when it rains or snows, it never dries out and we can't practice on it. And Fred said, okay, what we'll do is we will replace that and we'll replace the Memorial Stadium turf, and we will put the same consistency, the same blend of like sand and rubber and whatever on those artificial turf. So you're practicing on a field with the same consistency in practice that you're playing on Saturdays at home. There were so many moments along the way. But Kevin Wilson, I've always asserted this, Kevin Wilson taught Indiana what a serious football program behaved like. He came from Oklahoma and he said, these are all the things you're doing wrong. And then Tom Allen took that and showed Indiana that it could compete at the highest level of the Big Ten, that it could win, 8-9 games a year, that it could be in a game like that Ohio State game during the COVID season that even Curt Cignetti references when he says, people told me this was a hopeless job, not to take it. There was no point, they would never realize any ambition there. And yet 3 years ago, they were one touchdown away from playing for a Big Ten title. And then all of that creates the circumstances when Scott Dolson makes the decision to move on from Tom Allen, for Dolson to be able to pursue a level of candidate that the job might not have been appealing to 10 years earlier. But in that moment, because of the hard work of so many people, because of this, frankly, the stubborn investment of a lot of people, the job was ready for someone like Curt Cignetti. And that didn't guarantee Cignetti was going to be a success. And again, I'm not sitting here and saying Indiana is the best football program in the country and they're going to win the next 5 national championships and, no one else even need apply. But Indiana was just in the Stone Age in football for a lot of the 2000s. And a lot of that was just financial. The department was in a bad place financially, and it was reflected, far too often kind of across the board. Once Indiana got to a place where it could invest financially in football, it did so persistently. And Fred Glass used to talk about, he would talk about Barry Alvarez. He would talk about Gary Barnett. And he would say, I want to win now if we can, but I know this is a slow process. And I talked to Fred for that story I wrote and went up today. And, Fred, anytime you have this conversation with him, to his credit, is very quick to credit Scott and say this was Scott Dolson. Scott Dolson had the vision. Scott Dolson was the one that went out and got Curt Cignetti. Scott Dolson understood the formula for winning in modern college football before anybody else did. Fred's not, he doesn't try to say, oh, this is all because of the foundation I left behind. But still, I can remember those conversations with Fred for so many years about, we are just going to keep chipping away at the idea of being competitive in football because someday we will get there. And, this is where Indiana is now.
Well, a lot sooner than a lot of people expected, that's for certain. As they now are staring an opportunity to play in the Big Ten championship game if things go their way, if they're able to navigate the remainder of their schedule, which they'll be the favorite in every one of those games. But that doesn't mean a whole lot. As we've seen, teams go down here and there, and that's going to happen. So now, because Indiana is now the hunted and not the hunter, depending on if they can maintain that same mentality, which I know that's what is going to be the number one importance of to Curt
Cignetti to make sure that this team continues to play with that same hunger that they've been playing with that same chip that they've been playing with, whether they are being recognized as a top 3 team or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, listen, they're college kids, so like anything's possible. I guess I assume that would have happened by now if it was going to. And that's not to say they're not going to lose another game, and that's not to say they're not going to get upset at some point. But, I think that, both Curt Cignetti on his radio show and Scott Dolson to me last night said we didn't want any of this to be a distraction for the team. I think there's a firm understanding of what Indiana's capable of this season and what Indiana's chasing. And I think it's important to say it out loud because I understand why, fans of basically all ages will still sort of, struggle to wrap their head around it. But like Indiana is contending for a national championship. You don't beat Illinois the way Indiana beat Illinois. You don't win at Oregon the way Indiana won at Oregon. You don't follow up last season with what Indiana has been so far this season and not consider yourself a national title contender. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to win. There are probably at least a half dozen legitimate national title contenders, probably more, in college football in any given year. I'm not suggesting Indiana's going to win it or Indiana's the front runner or the favorite or whatever, but I think everyone understands what the stakes are here. And if Indiana was going to buckle under the pressure of that, I think it would have happened already. If Indiana was going to somehow sort of get, sort of fat on its own success, I think that would have happened already. I think a lot of what led to this developing the way that this being the contract, developing the way that it did over the course of this week was everyone involved recognizing, obviously, that Indiana wanted to do whatever it took, whatever it needed to keep Curt Cignetti around, but also that Indiana, that removing a distraction was tantamount to removing an obstacle to this team's success this season. And it is hard for me to imagine Thursday night's news not being just kind of another 500 RPMs in the engine of this season at this point.
Certainly is. Zach Osterman from the Indy Star, IU Insider. Big weekend. Make sure you're giving him a follow. Basketball and football coming at you this weekend. Zach, we will see you out at the athletic complex.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me as always, Jim.
Appreciate you, sir. Zach Osterman joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hey, we've got lots more coming up, including the man himself, Jeffrey the Greek, after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's C-O-Y-L-E, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 2 dozen or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. There he comes. There he comes. It looks like a police escort. Jeffrey the Greek has arrived. Jeffrey, that looks like he's walking onto the stadium now. So, oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is Jeffrey the Greek. Yes.
We got
Jeffrey
some soundboard stuff. All right.
Well, you know, hey, what do you got? You got to play around. You got to do something, right? Jeffrey the Great, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. The entertainment portion. Where's the puppets? I thought you were supposed to bring the puppets and do the whole deal.
We can work on that.
Yeah. How have you been? How was your weekend last week? How was your week? Weekend of football, always great because there's college football going on.
I had a good weekend. I had a good week. Not as good as you people in the greater Indianapolis area, seeing as how the Hoosiers go out to Oregon, get the biggest win, and I would say program history.
Oh, yeah.
You get Siggy signed. The Colts are hot. I mean, all great football goes through you guys right now.
I think you're the only one that calls him Siggy, too, and I think that's funny and great at the same time, because it's a cool nickname, but I think you're the only one that I've heard that. So you should coin that phrase as soon as possible.
We coin a lot, but man, the funny thing is, on the most recent Eyes on Big podcast, which we recorded Wednesday evening, before we knew the news about Siggy, we talked about him in the vernacular of being a quote unquote candidate for the Penn State job. Now, I want to be clear. I said on Twitter early in the week, I said on the podcast Wednesday evening, Siggy would not be going to Penn State. Like people were not looking at the big picture if they thought he would leave Bloomington to go to Penn State. Then we also talked about how it's obvious that Indiana needs to do what it has to do to get Siggy signed for an extended contract. But that's what everybody says at this time. Like when you have the hot coach, you have to sign him. Now, the funny thing is, if things don't turn out so well and there's this enormous buyout, then people say, what was this, team thinking? What was this program thinking? Look at this buyout here. So I just want to say, I find that hilarious that the two people, can exist in the same situation. Now, with that said, I'm playing around. This deal absolutely had to be signed. Doesn't surprise me. I know Indiana has deeper pockets than a lot of people realize. So pop some champagne. You guys should be happy.
Well, I mean, I'm just there to cover it all, man. But it's always say it's a hell of a lot more fun covering a winner. And I've got to tell you this. If you ever get the opportunity to go to Eugene, Oregon, go, because what fans are the worst that you've ever been around, and what are the best fans that you've ever been around?
Worst I've ever been around, hands down, USC. That's both online and when I've run into them at bowl games. Best fans I've ever been around, I gotta say, I've run into great fans with almost every fan base. Probably the fan base that I've personally had the most luck with is Wisconsin fans, which I would think a lot of people would be surprised since Iowa and Wisconsin are rivals. But I've always gotten mutual respect, and for the most part, Wisconsin fans are just there to have a good time.
Well, I was shocked at how unbelievably friendly Oregon people were. It wasn't just it was thank you for coming to Oregon, thank you for coming to Eugene. Oh, good luck. Oh man, you guys were awesome. You kicked the crap out of them, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy. It was to another level, but of greatness, because man, if things were like that all over, you just have a lot less animosity out there. But
What fun would that be? Right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So now I'm afraid that the Big Ten is not just top heavy, but are there teams in the middle that are better than maybe I'm giving them credit for? Because I look at the SEC, I don't see them as having an Indiana or an Ohio State at the top, maybe even Oregon. I'm not sure still. I don't know how bad of a loss that really was. Indiana could be the best team in the country. We don't know.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
But it seems like the SEC is just a little thicker with better teams. But then again, I'm like, how do we know that? So
we don't know
that. And so that's what makes it so hard to compare the midsections of these two conferences to me.
Yeah, if you look at the rankings, it's obvious. I think the rankings are bloated with SEC bias to this day. So I don't look at it quite that much. I look at what I see with my own two eyeballs when I watch these games. Now, certainly I focus on the Big Ten way more than I do the SEC. But I do take a look at I do take a look at the top, SEC teams. Without a doubt, to me, the top SEC teams, each one has one or two major flaws that I just don't think you see in Indiana and Ohio State, and probably Oregon. I think Oregon belongs in there. I would also like to say that, Jim, for 15 years straight, the way that we knew, very much the way that we were positive we knew who the best conference was, who was winning the national championships. 2 in a row for the Big Ten, and well positioned for a third one right now with 2 or 3 teams. Now suddenly we're, and I'm not this towards you, but now we are suddenly looking at the depth of these conferences, okay, it's magical how that conversation comes out after the SEC starts taking a bunch of L's. So with that being said, do I think the 7th and 8th team down in the SEC is probably better than the 7th or 8th team down in the Big Ten? Yes. But if I can talk out of 2 sides of my mouth, those 6, 7, 8, 9 teams in the Big Ten are still pretty good. Like, I just don't think people have the ability to most of the time watch these games outside their own team and the top 2 teams. So they don't see them. So they have comments and they have opinions, but I don't really know if they're watching these games.
Yeah, and I get it, because as Uncle Phil Cows here says, Washington and Illinois.
I agree.
And maybe they are teams that should be ranked right now. Washington just lost to Ohio State. Well, Ohio State, if they're the number 1 team in the country, they're supposed to lose that game. They lost by
and they took them into the 4th quarter. Yeah, they took them into the 4th quarter. It was still a game. Yeah. I've been invited to a couple different college football networks on X, and I have a top 25 vote. Washington is absolutely in my top 25, as is Illinois. And I know somebody brought up the Hawks on one of the comments here. I have been pointing at that Iowa-Indiana game and saying, maybe Iowa's pretty good too. Like Indiana came into Kinnick.
It's the toughest game they've had so far.
And that's with going. So they played 2 tough road environments at Kinnick and in the zoo. Iowa at least, represented at along the lines of Oregon, if not better. Oregon's still in the top 10. Iowa not even getting votes for the top 25. What do we have here? We have bias. That's what we have. Wow, stodgy Iowa. They don't have a good offense. Well, they have a really good defense, special teams, and they can run the ball. The throw game absolutely needs, work, and that is Iowa's flaw. But then you go back to mighty Georgia, Tennessee. You look at some of these.
Don't forget about Texas. They have to be great. They have
Texas. Absolutely. Texas,
they have to be great.
These teams have their flaws as well. I wish there was a way that we could remove the helmets, the stickers on the helmets, to get like a really proper rating. You would see much different, the top 25 would look much different if in some weird way we could get that done.
Yeah, I don't think that at this rate they're going to agree on the 4 and the 4, which that's going to, you're going to leave somebody out each year that way. But by the same token, it's like, well, tough. Somebody's always going to be left out. So it's either that or what do they do? What do they do next with the college football playoff? There's going to be expansion just because there's money there. So there's no doubt that it's going to come. How it happens, that I don't know. And it won't happen without it benefiting the Big Ten and the SEC. So we know that as well. Who benefits? But I've got to say, man, I love Jeffrey the Greek with us right now. Don't forget, brought to you by Paved Drain. Don't forget, just do a little quickie for Paved Drain real quick for all those people that may be listening out in Iowa or Nebraska or northern Indiana or wherever it snows.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just go to our website, pavedrain.com. You can find me. Ask me questions. We love that stuff. So it's a very simple process that we can walk through for heated surfaces. Could be a commercial application, could be your driveway. Looking at the Big Ten, there seems to be, to me, there's 3 and 3 at the top. There's 3 definite teams at the top: Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. I still have Oregon in the top 3. The next 3 teams, I have Washington, Illinois, and USC. Any one of those 3 teams, to me, is in position to make the college football playoff. If any of those teams wind up 10-2, they're in, to me. And nobody's keeping any of those teams out. Now, I don't think they can all finish 10-2, but at least 1 or 2 of them can finish 10-2. And then the next tier down after that, I have Michigan, Iowa, and Nebraska. Long shots to the college football playoff, but that's 9 teams deep right there. So the 9th team in the Big Ten took the number 3 team in the country right down to the wire. Doesn't that prove depth? I think that proves depth a little bit there. So, but probably the biggest, or I should say most fun thing is going to be, who is that 4th team in the Big Ten that's in best position to get in the college football playoffs?
Yeah, Washington or Nebraska, probably one of those 2. Let's see, Nebraska's only lost once this year. They've got a win over a good Cincinnati team. So they're probably looking but they'll sneak in. Now, everything that was said about Indiana last year will probably be said and potentially
about Nebraska.
About Nebraska. But
because
that's who cares at this point.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't know, man. I think the SEC gets 5 teams in, and the Big Ten only gets 3.
Now, I think the SEC will get 5. I think the Big Ten and SEC, I would put the total teams between the 2 conferences at 8.5. And I might even just put it squarely at 9 for how many teams get in. They will squeeze out, because we only need to have 1 ACC rep, 1 Big 12 rep, and 1 group of 5 or G6, whatever you call it, rep. So we only really need 3. There is going to be it's going to be difficult to get 2 teams in the Big 12. I'm going to tell you that right now. I just think it's the Big 12 winner that gets in. The ACC has the best chance to put a resume up there that would kick out a SEC or Big 10 team, but things got to turn quick for the ACC and Big 12 in order for things to happen like that. I don't think that's going to go down. It might pain people, but you probably want to be a SEC, or excuse me, a USC fan this weekend. This is one of the most losable games for Notre Dame. So for any anti-Notre Dame people out there, you're cheering hard for South Carolina, or for USC, the Trojans, because that would knock Notre Dame almost completely out of the playoffs. So there should be a lot of Trojan fans this weekend.
Jeffrey the Greek with us from Eyes on Big podcast, and brought to you by Pave Drain. Go to pavedrain.com. What man, the Big 12 seems like they're getting kind of they're going to get kind of hosed this year because they have several good teams. They have the BYU Cougars and Texas Tech, who's in the top 10, but both of those are undefeated. Then you've got the Bearcats of Cincinnati and Utah at 5-1, and Cincinnati's had a pretty good year other than that tight loss to Nebraska, who that's their only loss of the year. Man, it's been fun to see, to watch these teams, and that's what this college football playoff is meant to be like, I think.
Yeah. Listen, the Big 12 is fun to watch and follow. Nobody's saying that. I'm old enough to remember when the Big 10 West was fun to follow. We never knew who was coming out of there, but nobody took the winner seriously. I'm sorry, but if you're going to have that frame of thought for the Big 10 West, throw it to the Big 12 because it's the same situation over there. Now, the one exception to that is every now and then in the Big 10 West, there was one exceptional team. I think that is Texas Tech this year. So in my opinion, how it's going to play out, you're going to have a 1 or 2 loss Big 12 team in the Big 12 championship playing Texas Tech, an undefeated Texas Tech. Texas Tech will give that team either its second or third loss, knocking it out of the college football playoff. So to me, unless something drastic happens, Texas Tech is the class of the Big 12 and will be the lone representative, and they will have a shot to make noise in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. I just don't see another team.
Well, and that win by Nebraska over Cincinnati will serve them well. They're hoping that Cincinnati keeps rolling and doing well, and that will bump them up to help them get into the college football playoffs. And so that there is a possibility. Then you've got USC. Man, can they manage to hang on? They've got to win this weekend. It's this weekend they're at Notre Dame, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So these are must-win games for both of these programs. The loser of this is out of the college football playoff hope stakes.
100%. Yeah, this is a de facto college football playoff elimination. I would say it would 99.99% knock Notre Dame out of the playoffs if they lose this game. This is their third. This would be their third loss. They just don't have any meat left on the bone, even if they finish 9-3. So I can't rule it out completely, but they are virtually out. Now USC, they could still figure out a way to get 10-2. They would have games over Nebraska, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA that's suddenly hot. So they would still have some quality wins that they could stack onto their resume. They've already got Michigan under their belt. So USC would still have a very realistic chance of making the playoffs, even if they lost this game.
Hey, UCLA has a winning Big Ten conference record right now. Just throw that out there.
They're a completely different team.
I'm telling you, it's crazy to watch. Jeffrey the Greek is with us right now, and it's going to change their season entirely. I mean, they have time to do it. They've got 4 wins, right? Or no, only 2 wins on the season, so they've got to quickly add 4 more wins to that. Don't know if they can get that done, but one of those will be when they come to Bloomington in next week. So that's going to be a little irony there. I thought it was going to be ironic when Tino Sunseri came in, but that's not going to be a problem anymore as he is no longer with them. Isn't it crazy that they got good or decent firing all that they fire? I mean, when you had to quickly change or whatever the changes were made, that shows that was, which I already knew that there was a coaching issue, much like there is at Michigan. Michigan does not have the coach that they're going to have in a couple of years.
Right.
I mean, this was I said this yesterday, this was a thank you for keeping your mouth shut hire. This was a thank you for deleting the 50, 60 text messages that you deleted hire. This was a thank you for going on national TV when the head coach was suspended and crying and using the F word hire. It's ridiculous, but that's all that it was. And so that'll whatever. But hey, let's take a quick break. Are you ready to make some picks?
Let's do it.
All right. Hey, don't forget, go to Pave Drain, pavedrain.com. And quickly, all the people that live, especially in the colder areas where you may get some snow or want to keep your driveway nice and you don't even have to shovel it or any of that, man, it's pretty nice. Jeffrey the Greek got you taken care of. Now, you're not going to find him as Jeffrey the Greek under there at pavedrain.com, but I bet you can figure it out. He's the Jeffrey. And also find him at Eyes on Big Podcast. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Friday. Glad to have you along. Jim Coyle with you and Jeffy the Greek as well. Some of the games that's popping up a little bit. One of the Southeastern Conference games. Number 10 LSU travels to Las Vegas to play number 17 Vanderbilt. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. What has Vanderbilt done to show that they're number 17 in the country? Why does everybody think LSU is the 10th best team in the country? I think that it should just almost not be allowed to have top 25 rankings right now, because it's just it puts a misconception into people's heads, because it's just no longer appropriate. Maybe it used to be, at least it was closer than it really is, but not anymore, I don't think.
LSU's overrated. Totally agree with you there.
Vanderbilt? You think they're overrated?
I haven't watched them. Let's talk some Big Ten football, Jim. What do you think? Let's do some Big Ten football. I could not care less about the SEC.
I cannot get him outside of his wormhole there.
No, you see the logo? You see the over the chest or the shoulder right here?
Yeah, I just like to talk about here some big games of the week every now and then.
Yep.
Just like to bring those up, because they'll have ramifications later on. Tonight, Nebraska going into Minnesota. Minnesota looking to try to pop off and do something. Nebraska, though, a 7.5-point favorite.
Yeah, Minnesota has not looked good this year. When I did my rankings from 1 through 18 in the Big Ten, I had Minnesota all the way down at 13th in the Big Ten. They have a really good quarterback. I really like Drake Lindsley. I think big fans need to tune into this game. You know, obviously, if you're at a high school game, have fun there. But if you find yourself at home, tune into this game. I think it's got a lot of opportunity to be a lot of fun. It's right down the road for me. I wish I could make the game, but I'm not going to be able to do that. But I don't know if it goes how it looks on paper. Nebraska should win this game by at least 10 points. But something tells me Minnesota is going to put one of their better efforts in the year so far this year into this game. This has kind of turned into a rivalry. They play for a organic trophy, the $5 bits of broken chair. By the way, there's a charity for that. It goes to there's a charity for that. So go find that on Twitter, and you can give to a really good cause for the 5 bits of broken chair trophy. But this is a rivalry on the field. This will be a charged environment. It's going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah, because they're at 4 wins, so they want to get those 2 wins in with trips to Oregon, trips to Northwestern, which has suddenly become a player, and a game and a trip to Iowa on top of that. Yeah. So here you go. Here's what you get. Congratulations. So yeah, they want to get that in. Then Saturday matchups, Washington at Michigan. This is huge right here, man. This is huge for Washington. If they have any dreams of making the college football playoffs, this is a game they must go to Ann Arbor and win.
This might be my most fun game this entire weekend. No offense to the Notre Dame USC game. We talked about that game in the vernacular of a de facto national or de facto college football playoff, qualifier. I think you could say the same thing here. You're not completely knocked out of the playoffs if you're Michigan or Washington if you lose this game, but you are down to your last straw. Like if you lose this game as Michigan, you have to win out. If you lose this game as Washington, you have to win out. Michigan, on the other hand, I think they are completely boxed out if they do not win this game. That would be their 3rd loss. They are done for. I tell you, I'm with you. Like I'm impressed that you went that strong with the comments on Sharon Moore saying this is not their coach. Going into the year, I don't think I was there yet, but watching the product on the field, I see you shaking your head. I agree. It just does not look like a well-coached team. Not nearly as much. In fact, I thought it looked better the 2 games when Biff Poggi was coaching as opposed to Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore had that goofy, wore his workman jacket to his press conference this week. I don't know if you saw that. That got universally dragged because it was pretty corny. Man, I tell you what, there are advantages for Michigan along the lines, I would say, especially when Washington has the ball with Michigan's D-line. But in the end, Washington comes up with plays, and their defense is a little bit better than I think people give credit for. It's a pretty bad 3rd down defense, but not only do I like Washington in the points, I like Washington winning this outright. This was my eyes on big Amador double barrel lock of the week this week, is taking Washington in the points.
The only issue with it is, and I don't understand why this is green earth, this game is going to be on Fox, but this is a noon game Eastern time, which means this is 9 a.m. for Washington. They're in essence, they're playing a 9 a.m. game. Last week, Oregon played a 12:30 p.m. game, so that was not a big deal. But I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter, but I would not want to play at 9 in the morning. I'll be honest with you. But
definitely
I guess you just got to get up earlier, right?
Yep.
Purdue at the suddenly and risen Northwestern after coming off of a win at Penn State. My gosh, they are now 4-2. They win against Purdue. They're 1 game away from being bowl eligible, although not an easy road to hoe there with some tough games ahead of them.
I don't know how Northwestern does it where they can start the year 0-2 and not only win 4 games in a row to get to 4-2, but do it when nobody's paying attention. I mean, it is like they are always the 3rd game in a 3-game window for the Big Ten. It's the 3rd game that people watch. They beat UCLA after the coaching change. Nobody pays attention because it's still UCLA at the time, but UCLA rips off 2 wins after that. Nobody paid attention that Northwestern. It's like they have some sort of mystical powers, but I tell you what, this is a much better defense than people realize. I have been saying it since the beginning of the year. It's gotten even better since then. The offense has stopped turning the ball over. That was a huge thing, and they're running the ball pretty well. If you don't have Northwestern on your schedule as a Big Ten fan, be happy about it, because this is not a team that you're going to enjoy playing.
Yeah, it's amazing though. Northwestern coming off of one of their biggest wins in the modern era, going to Penn State, although they were in free fall. They are at home and only a 2.5 point favorite against Purdue.
Is it down to 2.5? It was 3.5 when we did the podcast. Wow.
That's what I'm doing right now.
So the funny thing is, I took I took Purdue and the points, but Northwestern to win the game, because I joked on the podcast that a 3.5 point spread to Northwestern is like a 6.5 point spread to most teams, as far as covering that spread. So I liked Northwestern plus 3.5 at 2.5. That gets a little bit close.
Let's see. Ohio State at Wisconsin. That's an easy one. 3:30 CBS game.
Can I just say, I have no idea how that's only a 26 point spread. It does not make any sense to me whatsoever. It really feels like Ohio State could roll their helmets out there and score 5 touchdowns and only give up a field goal. I have no idea what's going on with that spread.
I agree with you, because they're still running their backup quarterback, from what I understand, right? Wisconsin, or is Billy Edwards
started the year 3rd string? And I tell you what, he did not look good versus Iowa. That was some of the worst quarterback play I have seen in a long time.
Oregon getting back on track, traveling all the way across the country to Piscataway, New Jersey, to take on a kind of a Research at Nights team, and they get a boost of playing at 6:30. So it's later on in the day. They can be acclimated in.
A little bit.
Oregon's got to probably come out and smack them in the face a little bit, but
I tell you what, Rutgers is one of my more fun teams to watch. Another team that does really good things. They're kind of like the opposite of Northwestern in that they don't play a lick of defense. They are not interested in covering your wide receivers or tackling your running backs. But boy, do they put points on the board. I'm telling you, this is arguably the best throw game in the Big Ten. It is this Rutgers team. So I think they're going to put points on the board. I like Rutgers in the first half, catching 9.5 points, 8 points in the first half. Like, I think they'll put points on the board and keep it close, but ultimately Oregon will run away with it.
Here's a fun one. Penn State at Iowa. I think that Iowa wins this easy. This gets them one game away from, and would get them one game from being bowl eligible. But Penn State without their starting quarterback, so life is going to be heck. We'll see what life is like after James Franklin.
Yeah, I was pretty good at Kinnick at night against the spread, and also just coming out with the W. Hard for me to look at this game without looking at it through black and gold colored glasses. But so what scares me the most is that James Franklin is not the coach, and that there is a quarterback change. I think we have seen that multiple times in the Big Ten and across the country when you have that new coach bump. I think James Franklin had this Penn State team just tighter than a snare drum. Is there a release and they play looser and this, affects the game? There is definitely that potential. If you just give me straight up helmet on helmet, I think Iowa has the advantage at both the O-line and D-line. So I got Iowa to win this game, but man, I would not put any money on the spread either way.
Yeah, it's going to be very wild to see how Penn State can. Do we see what we saw in that UCLA bounce or not?
Yep.
Or have they given up the season already? Because it's only halfway to go. So
right.
There's still those guys wanted to play for a Big Ten title though, in a national championship. That's what they were hearing, and both 100%. Of those are out the window.
Gone. Yeah, it definitely has to affect their psyche quite a bit. In my rankings, the top 2 teams were playing the bottom 2 teams. So Ohio State, top team playing Wisconsin, the second team, Indiana, playing this Michigan State team. So like, I am interested in what you folks are thinking, because like, to me, is Indiana capable of a flat performance under Siggy? I don't know if we've ever really seen it. So, but like the spread isn't immense, you know, like this is a really struggling Michigan State team. I mean, they could hardly, they barely busted a grape in a fruit fight at home playing UCLA. Now they go on the road to play this red hot Indiana team. I don't see any way possible that the Indiana defense doesn't show up. Is this finally the time where maybe Indiana's just off their game a little bit on offense? I'm not predicting that. I think Indiana covers this spread, but like, I just wonder if there's any sort of hangover that Indiana ever feels.
Not yet. Well, they've got to keep doing it, though. They've got to finish this season out. Maryland travels to UCLA, a much-needed game for both of these. If Maryland has dreams of going to a bowl game, they're currently 4 wins, so that's would be a big opportunity for them. If Illinois has any dreams of or UCLA has any thoughts of turning this season around, they definitely have to get it done, because they are not there. They've got 2 wins on the season so far. Then we've got 1 minute left. USC and Notre Dame.
Yep, I've got USC covering, but Notre Dame winning this game. USC has got massive injuries at the running back position. They might be rolling out a guy that started the year at linebacker or D-back playing running back in this game. They have not been good away from the Coliseum, especially when they fly into the Midwest. Now they'll get themselves up for this game. I see points in this game, but I got Notre Dame 34, USC 30. So I got a USC cover. Maybe even it's a late cover going over, but Notre Dame winning that game.
Does this end USC's hopes of being the 4th Big Ten team if that happens?
I don't think so. As long as they show out, they would essentially on the resume have 2 close losses on the road, but still have some really good wins, assuming they wind up 10-2. So it doesn't knock USC out. It would knock Notre Dame out. So it's rare that I cheer for USC, but I will be doing it on Saturday.
Or are you going for the daily double? Maryland's at UCLA, and the Bruins are getting 3.5 points.
Yeah, I think I like a close game, somewhat of a sloppy game. Maryland's got a little bit better defense than what people realize, so I think that'll travel and play pretty well. I've got 28-21 UCLA. So just a little bit under the game total in that game, but I got UCLA. They're just Maryland feasts on turnovers, and Nico is not turning the ball over. So I just don't think they give them. I just don't think they give them what they need. So UCLA gets the win.
Jeffrey the Greek, brought to you by pavedrain.com. Make sure you go there, check it out, make your winners a lot more sustainable. Look forward to doing it again next week, man. Thanks to each and every one of you guys for joining us. Alec, Lasley, as well as Zach Osterman. We're back after the game to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.